Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Todd Klindt's SharePoint podcast number 273, recorded live on a very festive Monday, December 14th, 2015. I am your host and Santa's little helper, Todd Klindt, and I'm here to remind you that there is only like 10 more shopping days, 11 more shopping days, depending on how last minute you really want to get before Christmas, before you have the chance to buy me that perfect gift and get it sent to me. It's all good stuff. I've got an Amazon wish list out there. Buy early, buy often. It's all about the spirit and all that. So just 11 days till Christmas. And while you're doing that, you've got Amazon open or whatever site you're going to buy me stuff at, kcchiefs.com, whatever. Open up in the tab, go over to toddklindt.com/blog, read my blog. I've been very active in my blog lately. I've had some things that were in the funnel that I finally got through. And then also go out to my my employer, the folks at Rackspace. You can go out there to rackspace.com, or you go to sharepoint.rackspace.com and find out about all the great things we've got out there, or www.rackspace.com/Microsoft and find out about all the not SharePoint, yet still cool. I mean, in their own right, I'm sure their parents love them and all that. All the other Microsoft products that we support at Rackspace. So we're talking Exchange and Azure and SQL and all the crazy things. All of your favorite Microsoft products we have out there. Notepad as a service, just another one of the things that we provide. Go out there to www.rackspace.com/Microsoft. And then follow me on Twitter at Todd Klindt. Email me, todd.klindt@rackspace.com. All those crazy places. I'm Todd Klindt on Instagram, though I have never posted a picture, nor do I really have any intention to. But if you're an Instagramming kind of person, by all means, I'm out there as well. All right, for our next spot, we will do our production notes first. I have to apologize for Shane. I don't know what to do about that guy. Last week, I was in San Antonio at the home office doing a couple of different things, had some meetings and things going on, and I knew that I would be in San Antonio Monday night, but I never know where for sure I can record this. And also taking all the equipment, the microphone and all that is really a pain. I try not to check bags if I can, and the more of this stuff that I take, the tougher that gets. So I get lazy and I have Shane cover for me, and it bites me every time. I don't know what's up with that guy, but So my apologies to you for that, for having you had to put up with Shane, but my thanks to him for taking care of that so that there's not dead air. So thanks to him for that. And it was not too bad of a show. It looks like he likes his Lumia, and that's good. I kind of gave up on Windows 10, so I'm not looking at that myself, but he had some good things to say about that, and it was all good. So thanks to Shane for figuring that out. I did just get the production set up on that today because I was out of town and then got busy over the weekend and kind of forgot about it. Plus, I was like, oh my God, I got to listen to Shane's voice. So it's tough to motivate myself to do that. You can understand, but I did get that out today. You'll notice over my shoulder, my regular slides are not there. There is a lonely old laptop. I got a new machine for work, and I've just kind of moved some things around. I've moved that monitor, but don't fear. At some point, that will come back. I have to order another monitor. I replaced this laptop with a laptop with a much smaller screen. So then I move my monitor over, and then you guys don't care about any of that, but there will be a monitor back there at some point that has the production notes and all that for me to not be able to remember to change and all that. Everybody loves that part, but that will be coming back. Big changes in the Todd Klindt office is what I'm coming back to. And then finally for production notes, and this is kind of a production-y thing, but not a production thing. Once again, my birthday's coming up in a little over a month, and that means it's time for the Todd Klindt birthday charity drive. That needs its own music. I just thought about that. That needs some triumphant, like horns blaring and all kinds of stuff. That's what that needs. But for those of you that haven't partaken in this before, several years ago, it's a Todd Klindt's podcast tradition that in the month leading up to my birthday, really the month between Lori's birthday and my birthday, we do a charity drive. And this was because the first year of the podcast, I started out in March, so there was a good 10 months. I talked a lot about charity. We were going through the big recession here in the States, and I thought for those of us in the SharePoint industry, and not 100%, but for the most part, those of us in the SharePoint industry were doing pretty well. And there were some people that were hurting, And that year, I really got serious and got motivated about giving to charity because I kind of felt bad about some of the things that were going on. So I talked about that a bunch that first year, and I felt like I was getting kind of preachy, so I've kind of toned that down. But a few folks picked up on it. Lori picked up on it. Dan Usher picked up on it. And so that December of 2009, they decided to put together, without my knowledge that first year, a birthday charity drive. And then on my birthday, well, slightly after my birthday, but around my birthday, near my birthday, I got a card that had a bunch of people's signatures in it and a bunch of dollar values. And Lori and Dan had encouraged people to give to charities. Any charity, it's nothing for me. It's just kind of to encourage people to give to charities. And then they all signed the card. So that was pretty cool. And that tradition has stood for 5 years now. So we're coming up on year number 6, and Lori's already got that going on. So if you'd like to be a part of that, I would love you to be a part of that. If you'd like to be a part of that, you can go to pointgowan.com/TKCharity. The only thing you're doing there is just throwing your name down on a list and then telling how much you donated to whatever charity you want. Whatever is important to you, that's what I want you to give to. I've got some charities that I give to, but I don't care what you give to. It's just I want to encourage people to help other people. So you can go do that. Now, there have been folks that have given every year, have been very, very good about that. And Lori, we've been kind of talking about it the last month here and there, but Lori's really starting to hit it hard. Today, the 14th of December, more than a month before my birthday, I got my very first email from somebody who had donated some money for the birthday drive. And that's from one of my favorite Canadians, Joanne Klein. She had donated some money, and I forgot what charity it was. I haven't got the email in front of me, but she's one of the first people that did that. So thank you very much to Joanne. She's a big friend of mine. She sent me candy, and really that's all it takes is candy. I'll be your friend forever for candy. But she sent me candy several times. The Canadian flag that I had over my left shoulder forever was courtesy of her, and a good friend, and she was the first one to donate. So I appreciate that very much. So keep those coming in. The other thing that I used to do back when the amount of money being donated was hundreds of dollars, I would match the donations. And then the donations got over $1,000, and that got a little tighter. Last year, the donations were $2,500, and that was a lot. And so some point along there, I quit matching that because my children need to go to college, I need to eat, and you guys were donating a lot of money. And this year I was talking to my wife about that, and I felt kind of bad that I hadn't been matching the money that had been donated. And she said, well, why don't we do that this year? So this year, however many dollars you all donate together and report to Lori, I will match that dollar for dollar and contribute to one of the many charities that I give to. And that's on top of the stuff we've already done this year. So whatever the tally I get, the middle week of January, last week of January, whenever that card stumbles and finds its way to my mailbox, whatever that dollar amount is, I will match. So to encourage you guys to give a little bit more. So it's a great thing. I really don't do much about it. I give it a little lip service, but Lori does most of the work on it. So if you need to congratulate anybody, that's the one to do. But again, wanted to make sure that y'all knew that if you donate this year, I will match it come January. And Lori's got some donation goals that she'd like to catch, and I don't know what her goal is this year. I think whoever emails her will find out what those goals are. But I hope you guys meet them, and I hope it hurts when I write that check. I hope it's a big one. So keep up the good work. Okay, for topics. So I've been very conscious lately of not letting this podcast get too long. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I like to talk, and I get going on things, and I kind of lose track of time and honestly space and my surroundings and all that. And I get to rambling a little bit. So I've been trying to tighten things up a little bit and keep things down to around 30 minutes. Because I know myself, when I look at podcasts and my podcast apps, when I see podcasts that are, 57 minutes or 63 minutes, I'm like, I don't have time for all that. And I don't watch them. And so I don't want to make that tough for you guys. And so I don't know if I'm going to get to everything tonight. And it's ironic that as I was talking about how I didn't have enough time, I spent a bunch of time talking about how I didn't have enough time. There goes that talking thing again. So one of the big things that came out of here for the last week, a month or so ago, Microsoft did a horrible marketing thing. And they said, hey, remember that time we told you we were going to give you unlimited OneDrive Consumer, OneDrive for pleasure? Well, that time that we said that, We didn't mean that, and we're not going to give you unlimited OneDrive Consumer. And not only are we not going to give you unlimited OneDrive Consumer, we're going to take back every other single bonus and way that you guys use to get more storage, and everybody's going to get 5 gigabytes no matter what. End of story. Microsoft, Microsoft, Microsoft. So, of course, everybody was very angry. A lot of people, like myself, had started moving over to OneDrive. Windows 8 and 8.1 and 10 make extensive use of OneDrive, and people are slowly starting to use it. And then they go pull one of these numbers. Ridiculous. There was a user voice thing that was put up, and it had, the last I checked, 75,000 people complaining on it, something like that. Last week, Microsoft announced that they were relenting on some of this. So they announced on the user voice thing that they have heard our pleas, and they were sticking to their guns. They were still going to take the unlimited away. And honestly, nobody blames them for that. But I think where they really screwed up was cutting everybody off. When I signed up for OneDrive, whenever it was, the deal was you got 15 gig for free. And they weren't even going to honor that. They were going to make everybody have 5 gig for free. And that was a horrible maneuver. So they've said they're going to give us 2 things. If you go out to preview.onedrive.com/bonus, if you go out there and sign up, they're basically going to do what they should have done all along. They'll let you keep whatever your current base storage quota is. So for me, that's 15 gig. Everybody won't get retroactively moved back to 5 gig. New folks, I think, get the 5 gig, but those of us who started and it was something larger, we get to keep that. Another thing that they did was if you, on your smartphone, and I did it on a Windows phone, I don't know if it works for other platforms or not. If you signed up to have your pictures automatically uploaded to OneDrive, you got a camera roll bonus. That was another 15 gig. They were initially going to take that away as well. They've relented on that. So you'll also be able to keep that if you go out there. You have to do this by January 31st, 2016. And that's 10 days after my birthday. So there's plenty of time to buy me Christmas presents, buy me lots of birthday presents, rest for a few days, and then sign up for this. Plenty of time. They're very considerate with their timing. So you have to go out there to preview.onedrive.com/bonus by January 31st and tell them that you want to keep all that. Why they don't just automatically do that, I don't understand. They've really screwed this up a whole bunch. If you're curious what kind of storage you have and what your base quota is and all those crazy things, go into OneDrive. So, OneDrive.live.com or OneDrive.com. In the upper right-hand corner, which I guess for you is over here, hit the gear and then go to options, and it'll show you what your base quota is and all those things. Now, one thing I wanted to mention, and these are some things that I saw when I was in there in mine tonight prepping for the show. I have the 15 gig for this and the 15 gig for that. I've got some space that I got when I bought my Surface Pro. Got some space that I got with the Xbox Music thing. I also have 1 terabyte from Office 365 Home. Now, that was something that I got when I bought the whole stack of 47 tablets a year or so ago. Each one of those came with Office 365 Home. That adds a terabyte of drive space to your OneDrive Consumer. So I've got that terabyte. That will stay as well. If you want, you can buy Office 365 Home. It's $100 a year, adds a terabyte to your drive space. Also gives you Word and Excel and a whole bunch of things and Skype and all that kind of stuff. So that will add it. The other thing that you can do is you can buy the Microsoft Work and Play bundle. And that's something that they announced here a while back. And I don't know how long that's going to be in effect. But for $150, you get Office 365 Home, which is 5 user licenses, I believe, or 5 machines, or I don't know, 5 Lords of Leaping. I can't keep up, but there's 5 of something in there. You can work out 5 terabytes of storage one way or the other. You get Office 365 Home, you get Xbox Live Gold, you get Skype Unlimited World Calling and Skype Wi-Fi, and you get a $60 bonus gift card to use for Microsoft, for Windows apps, for music, videos, games, whatever. And you get all that for $150. So that's the Work and Home, or Work and Place bundle, home and work, but I don't know what the hell that is. But the links will be in the show notes. So you've got a couple of options for that. But if there's still any of those cheap little tablets out there, those things are like $70-$80, and they gave you Office 365 Personal or Home or something. So look into that. Mark Chrisman in the chat room is saying that Office 365 is $100 a year for up to 5 users. So there you go. 5 people in your family can get a terabyte of drive space. So they should have just done this all along. I don't know why they didn't, but there is some sense being made there. So go in there, click that, add your stuff. The next thing that I wanted to talk about, so we're about 15 minutes in, just kind of a place that I don't really have any big articles to talk about, but I follow the Active Directory team blog, and one of the things that they have started doing at the Active Directory team blog is the Azure Active Directory Mailbag. And this is just blog posts that they have that people, write in with questions, and the Azure AD team answers those questions. As I've talked about in the past, Azure AD is kind of the smarts, the login authentication behind Office 365. If you are a SharePoint administrator, you absolutely have to become an Azure AD expert. And this is one way to do that. So they have articles here and there about all that. You can also just go to the the Active Directory blog. And for my audio listeners, that one's easy. That's blogs.technet.com/b/AD. Or if you're looking at it, it looks like it says bad. But that you got to get out there. You got to get comfortable with that. You got to know what your options are. For instance, they just had a blog post within the last couple of days about self-service password reset in Azure AD, which is really good. They had one about RBAC, role-based authentication or access controls. Things that if you're not doing them right now, you're going to be doing them in the next year. So you're going to, you want to get out there and read those. And again, just, add it to your bookmarks or do whatever. There's some good things out there. And I read that and I'm like, my friends on the internet, they want to know about good things on the internet. All right. So another thing, some of my more eagle-eyed viewers, listeners probably not so much, may notice I'm sporting a new band here. And I don't think I've talked about my new band. I've only had it a couple of weeks, and I don't think I got a chance to talk about it. But I've been sporting the new band here for a couple of weeks. I thought I'd talk about it a little bit and give you a link to buy a band of your own, a Microsoft Band 2, The Deuce, the sequel, for $200. If you go to Amazon.com and look for it, or BestBuy.com has them for $200. You can't beat it. And that's what I paid for the original one, and I paid a little less, but it's well worth it. So this is the Band 2. Now, first, let's look at the Band 1. Solid, clunky, square, sad and industrial, really harsh. Now let's look at the Band 2. Slim and sexy, kind of got a metallic thing. The battery's not dead, but that's a completely different issue. There's no batteries on the sides here to hurt your arm. It's very flexible, very comfortable, very much like the Band 2. So I've had the Band 2 for a couple of weeks, and I thought I'd just mention a few of the things that I like. The first one is that there's a new clasp here that fits a little better than the old clasp. The sizing is also a little different. If you have a Band 1, do not assume you wear the same size for the Band 2. Your best bet is to find somebody who's got a Band 2 and try theirs on. That's what I did. Matt McDermott had one. I tried his on. So the clasp is new. It clasps better. It's sturdier. But the thing that I really like about the new clasp is that's where the charger connects. So with the Band 1, the charger connected right back there, which is also where my wrist touched it and made it very corroded and nasty. With this, the charger, this part right here, fits on top of the clasp, never touches my delicate epidermis here, and therefore does not get nasty. So the bad news about that is I had to buy new charging cables. I had 2 extra charging cables for the Band 1. I had, one in my bag and one at my desk and all that. So I ordered 2 new charging cables for the Band 2. They're about $20, something like that. I don't remember, but I got those here, so I'm good to go with that. The battery now is here, so it's not on the side. So this thing is way more flexible and way more comfortable than the old one was. The screen, as dumb as it sounds, the screen is so much better on this one. It's curved a little bit, it's a little taller, and it's just way more vibrant, way nicer. So it's also a little more responsive when you're doing the touchscreen things on it. So that's good. It also has all of the sensors that the Band 1 has, and it additionally has a little hole right there for measuring atmospheric pressure, for altitude, things like that. They've also started adding some new things. So one of the things, there was an update for it in December, and that added some new functionality. One of the things that it added was the ability to control your media player. So if you've got this Bluetooth hooked up to your phone, you can hit the double hit the power button twice and you get this media control. So it lets you play and pause and all that, volume up, volume down. So that's pretty slick now, and then hit the double power to get out of that. The bad news about this, at least for me, is that with Android, they do some funky stuff and it doesn't work with Android apparently. I haven't tried it yet, but if you've got Windows Phone or an Apple device, you can probably use this. So that was super cool. But it shows all this new stuff that's coming out with the Band 2. The other cool thing that the Band 2 does, and I don't know if I can demonstrate it very well, but the screen, I've got it in clock mode. And you tell it how you're wearing it. So you tell it which arm you're wearing it on, and if you wear it on the bottom of your wrist or the top of your wrist. And you can tell it to shut the screen off, and it will only turn the screen on when you move your wrist. So I don't know if I can get it to show you. So screen is off, and then it thinks I turned my wrist, and the screen comes on. So I really, really like that. That's a nice touch there. So if you've been considering getting a Band 2 and you're a Band 1 user, I really, really like that. Oh, so Joanne Klein mentions another one that the Band 2 has. It has an activity reminder. So if you're like me and spend a good portion of your day sitting at your desk and not moving, every half hour or so, your band will yell at you and say, "Hey, fatty, get up and walk around." Kind of scared me the first time. I wasn't quite expecting that. But that's something you can turn on or off, but that is a nice thing. So give the Band 2 two thumbs up. It's ridiculous that I've spent that much money on something like this. And also there seems to be some extra apps that are out there. Like one of the apps that when I signed up for this, and it might work for the Band 1 as well, I'm not sure, is there's a Kansas City Chiefs app. It doesn't actually update apparently, but it's out there. So I'm a fan. Oh, there's also a what's new tile now. So there's that little tile with the thing there that actually tells you what the update added. I added the Starbucks tile also so I can buy coffee with this. But anyway, good. It's a good purchase. So I like it. Now I got to figure out what to do with this thing because they're practically giving these things away. So I don't know. I maybe use it to scare off a stray dog in the neighborhood. I don't know. Throw it at or something like that. But I do like the Band 2. So if you're thinking about getting one, go ahead and grab it. Okay, so now on to some SharePoint stuff. Remember those days when we talked about SharePoint? So a couple of things that I need to bring up to you. New patches came out last week. Not a whole lot there. I've got those out on the site. So toddklindt.com/SP2013 builds and toddklindt.com/SP2010 builds. You can find out what's out there on all those. One thing I do need to mention, though, for the last few months, I've been talking about how great the cloud search service is in SharePoint 2013 and SharePoint 2016. I'm sticking to my guns. I love it. I recommend it to everybody. But in SharePoint 2013, the October, November, and December cumulative updates break that search, break federated search, period. So be careful with that if you're using any kind of cloud search or federated search before you update production to October, November, or December for SharePoint 2013. Make sure you test in your lab because it is most certainly broken. Microsoft realized it was broken a while back and they've got a fix in store that should be fixed by January. That's what they're telling us. So the January CUs, which will come out, don't tell me I know this one, not on the 5th, but on the 12th. So January 12th, that one will come out. Now, not to be left out, when SharePoint 2016 heard about how the cloud search was breaking, it was like, hey, I want my cloud search to break too. So sure enough, with the latest beta of SharePoint 2016, its cloud search is also broken. Yay! The good news about that one is there is some PowerShell you can use to fix that. In the show notes, I've got a link to a TechNet article, or not TechNet, but a TechNet forum posting that describes the problem, and then Neil Hodgkinson from Microsoft has the PowerShell that fixes it. So both of those were out there. And then I had some folks asking me about these, and it's official now. We can talk about them. They're out there. So if you're using those, make sure you test and find out if you are affected or impacted by those. All right, we got a few more minutes to talk about some things. Now, I got a big hair a couple of weeks ago. I started blogging, and I blogged a bunch of things that I had plugged up that I needed to get out and have been blogging. So I want to talk about those quick because I haven't been able to blog cool stuff as much lately, and I want to do that. The first thing is, as I'm playing with SharePoint 2016 more and more, I've noticed that the PowerShell scripts that I wrote for SharePoint 2010 mostly work in SharePoint 2013. The PowerShell scripts that I wrote for SharePoint 2013 mostly work for 2016, with a couple of exceptions. There's just some little things here and there. And what I didn't want to do was have to rewrite all of my PowerShell scripts and all of my functions and all that. So I decided to figure out how I can detect inside of my script which one is running so that I can kind of do the decision tree stuff. So there was a couple of things that I wanted to add, I wanted to put out there and blog about. So the first one is a blog post on how to find which version of PowerShell, or excuse me, which version of SharePoint you're running in PowerShell. Now you're probably saying to yourself, this is easy. We can do get SP farm. That's how we get the build version that we use on your website. We've been doing that for years. Why do we have to do that? Well, good question. I'm glad you asked. The first script that I found that didn't work correctly was the farm that I used to create, or excuse me, the script that I used to create farms. With SharePoint 2010 and SharePoint 2013, I just ran a new SP configuration database. It created my farm and automatically added the server that I ran it on into that farm. Worked like a champ. With 2016, because of the server roles, you have to specify a role for that server when the farm is created. And so that script didn't work anymore. But since the server is not a member of the farm yet, because, you know, building the farm is the entire reason we're running the script, get SP farm doesn't work either. You can't do get SP farm.build version to get the build version. So what I did was I found some places inside of the registry that got laid down for each version, and I'm using one of those. And that blog post kind of has two cool things that I'm proud of. Number one is the logic around figuring out which version of SharePoint is installed, whether you're on a farm or not. That's kind of cool. But then the other thing was what to do with that after the fact. So at the beginning of the script, I've got a block that looks to figure out which version of SharePoint's running and sets a variable of that. And then later in the script, I've got the code that consumes that, and it uses a switch statement. Now, switch is a thing that you use when you've got a variable that can have multiple values. You could always do the, you know, if A equals B, then this, else if A equals C, then this, else if A, and you get these nested ifs, and they're really ugly and they're tough to read. Switch lets you do all that at once. So you say switch A, and then if A is B, then do this command, C, this command, D, this command. It was perfect for what I was doing. But 2010 and 2013 had the same line for creating the configuration database, and I didn't want to have it there twice. So I had to do some stuff. I had to go look on the internet on how to say inside of switch, how to put some logic that says, if this variable is blah or blah, then do this. You know, if it's blah, do this. And so that's the other part of that script that's really nice. So that if you've got scripts out there that you've been using forever, read that blog post over and see if you can just adapt your existing scripts to have 2016 support. Some folks in the chat room are saying some very mean and disparaging things about me. And I honestly don't know why they would do that kind of thing. But Joanne and Nicholas are both discussing how developer-y I sound. And one thing that I need to remind Joanne and Nicholas of is that being in the chat room, if they look, I don't know how what their IRC client looks like, but in my IRC client, my name has a little symbol next to it. And that's the symbol for an operator in the channel. And there are many things the operator can do in the channel. It can set the title and things like that. But one of the things that operators can do is to very fussy people in the chat room, they can kick them and ban them. Just saying. But if you're doing your scripts out there, these are some good tips to have if you're going to be using multiple versions. And I mentioned in that blog post, and I haven't done it yet, I plan on putting all of my scripts out in GitHub, but I just want to make them so that I'm not embarrassed about them, but they'll all be out there. Another thing that I blogged recently was how to change the Minrole on your SharePoint 2016 server. So this is very closely related to the first one. When I was going through my scripts, I said, okay, for when I create the farm of SharePoint 2016, I have to specify a Minrole. Which Minrole should I specify, and how do I know which one makes the most sense? You know, hell, it doesn't matter, because with PowerShell or in Central Admin, you can change the Minrole. And that's what this other blog post is about. So if you hard code one Minrole inside of your script, because I don't like to have to ask for more stuff than I need. But so right now I've got the Minrole being set to single server farm, so it sets everything running on that server. And then if somebody uses that script and they decide later that server really needs to be a web server, they can go to this other blog post and see how to change it. And that one is at toddklindt.com/change Minrole. And the previous one was toddklindt.com/posh find version. And those are both out there. So those were some good things. And then the last one that I wanted to talk about was not really SharePoint related, kind of SharePoint related, but more like Windows 8, Windows 10 related, and those kind of things. I participate in a variety of different chat room, forums on the internet. And in one of them, people were talking about upgrading from Windows 8.1 to Windows 10. And one of the guys in that chat room was like, the upgrade went pretty well, but for some reason, Windows lost a bunch of the cached passwords that it had, for websites he was going to, things like that. And so he was a little irked by that. I completely understand. I hate typing in my password. I had to go to a website today, and I brought it up. I had Chrome up, and I went to the website in Chrome, and my password was not saved there. And I'm like, to hell with it. I'm not going to type my password. So then I opened up IE and went to that same website in IE because my password was cached. I hate typing passwords. Just absolutely hate it. So I felt his pain. I felt bad for him. And I had seen a while back some code that took advantage in Windows 8 and 8.1 and 10. There's now a password vault object inside of Windows where all of those things are stored. And I saw some PowerShell that allowed you to pull those out, extract those passwords. So I put that all in a blog post at toddklindt.com/poshgetpasswords. And essentially this is 2 or 3 lines of PowerShell that you can run if you are an administrator and have physical access to a box in Windows 8, 8.1, or 10 box. You can run this script and it will show you all of the password credentials that are saved inside of Windows. And this is the same thing when you go into Control Panel. There's a credentials thing in there. It's that whole same thing. You can go in there and you can click each one and hit Show Password, or you can use PowerShell, spit them all out to your screen. And it is everything. It is every URL, every username, every password. So for goodness sakes, don't do it if someone's looking over your shoulder, because it is the whole tamale. But that is, so for this guy, I said, well, if anybody else thinks they're going to have this problem, they can run this, save it out to a text file, which is like the worst advice I've ever given, ever. But however you want to, take that file and protect it accordingly. And when you do your upgrade, then if they get lost, you can get back to them again. So that was a good one. Again, not really a SharePoint thing, but a PowerShell thing. And I've used that a couple of times to get passwords. What happens to me is if it's a site that I don't go to very often, I'll type my password in and forget it if I don't put it in my password vault, my software, and then I can't get to it again. So this is good to help me remind these things. So, boy, good. Right at half an hour. I kind of flew through some of those, but that was all good. So now on to the shameless self-promotion. In a couple of days, well, probably the day after or the day before this gets put out, on December 16th, my Run As Radio episode will be on. You can go to runasradio.com. That's Rich Campbell and friends, and he interviewed me the week of Thanksgiving, and that will be coming out. That should be episode 451, I believe. Yeah, go check that out and give Rich another download, visit his sponsors, all that crazy stuff. And then in like 2 months, it's going to be SP TechCon, February 21st through the 24th. You can find out about that at sptechcon.com. That is in Austin, Texas. I will be there. If you will be there, for goodness sakes, come find me, shake my hand, introduce yourself. I would love to meet you. Tell me a little bit about yourself, what you do with SharePoint. I would love to have all of it. I do warn you, I'm only going to be there for like the first couple of days because there's also an event going on in San Antonio that same week at Rackspace that I need to go down to and be part of. But that is February 21st through 24th in Austin, and that's sptechcon.com. All right, everybody, you guys in the chat room, stick around. I'll be in there dispensing wit and wisdom for the next few minutes. Those of you on the web, thank you for listening. We're winding now. We've just got maybe 1 or 2 more shows the rest of the year. I appreciate you sticking with me. Again, don't forget about the charity drive at pointgowan.com/TKCharity. Give bunches. I would appreciate that. And I will see you guys all next week. Thanks.